Four comedians are also real good friends, working on jokes, the fun never ends. They're asking each other, is this anything?
Welcome, guys. Jarret, do you have a randomized list for us that does not include Anthony going last? No, first.
First. I feel like there needs to be a name for the randomized Jarret machine, like on a game show.
Yes,
like,
yes.
We're gonna go over the wobulator now, and I'd be like, beep beep boop boop beep 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 boop.
Do you want to call it the Jarb machine?
Yes. The Jarbulator?
The Jarbulator. You guys remember what I do is I listed all of our names alphabetically, and then I went to a random number generator on the internet and just randomly generated numbers 1 through 4 until all of us were accounted for. I started doing Jarb instead because I was like, yeah, that's, that's what we are. We're Jarb.
Okay, Mr. Scientist, just tell us.
Also, before you do the Jarbulator, you have to do the same speech every time.
Yes,
like it's a thing. So as you guys know,
I take Jarb. Jarb correlates to each of us. I'm the J. Anthony's the A. Rob's the R. Okay.
Because we're expecting a lot of new audience every time, and we want them to know what's going
on. Let's see here. We really should have a sound that we play. Beep, boop, 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 boop. Okay,
that could be a post.
We gotta all just make that sound.
That's true.
You do the calculating, and we'll do the sounds.
Okay. So yeah, the random order for this week is Jarret, Rob, Anthony, Brett.
Oh, sorry, I did it the wrong time. Sorry, what was the order again? I was making sounds.
It is Jarret, Rob, Anthony, Brett.
Okay, cool.
It's drab today.
Drab. Okay. You guys all set to get started?
Yeah, I'm going to start timing you now.
Lay it on me.
And Anthony never goes last, right?
I think everyone
goes first. Okay. Well, no, I was trying to think of like, is it going to be an unpronounceable thing because he's the only vowel?
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
I can go first sometimes. I just don't prefer it. I just I was just saying, if somebody likes going first, be my guest. If no one likes going first, let's all take turns. But I prefer every other slot. But I have
no preference. I don't care. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm fine making this an Anthony rule.
Sure. I also like the idea of making Anthony do things he doesn't want to do.
I am of Jarret's school of thought where it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. This one's just a one-liner, I think. We just found out that my aunt has Alzheimer's, which would normally be a real bummer, but she's always wanted an open relationship, and now she thinks she's in one.
Which is always...
You guys like that?
I'm not sure I get it. I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there because I'm confused.
Say it one more time.
Okay, we just found out that my aunt has Alzheimer's. It might make more sense for the joke if I say dementia.
Okay, right.
We just found out my aunt has dementia, which would normally be a real bummer, but she's always wanted an open relationship, and now she thinks she has one.
Because she can't remember being married?
She's every time she is with her husband, she's like, ooh, who's this sailor?
Oh.
That's the joke.
To me, it's hard to make the connection from,
There's one step missing there for me. Yeah, I don't necessarily readily think that. Oh, she must think that her husband is a new person every time.
But it could also be. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying I found it funny, but just because I was like, oh yeah, dementia, you could just believe whatever.
Yeah.
That's all the justification I need.
But maybe
she thinks blank is like good enough for me. Say anything.
I think it might help if the premise was that she's always wanted to be in an open relationship. Now she has dementia, so she thinks she is.
Every time she sees her husband,
she
thinks it's a new lover.
Yeah.
That's I think that might work better. I'll try reframing that. Add the husband to the joke. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, this is a longer bit. So I'm Jewish, but I wasn't raised Jewish. I know nothing about Jewish culture, and to be honest, I find some aspects of Jewish culture to be very confusing. Like in New York, there are some days where there are vans full of Jews that drive around town, and I realize that as I'm saying that, I'm confirming like 10 different conspiracy theories about Jews. I'm sure there's like a dozen people in here who are like, yeah, Jew vans. Yep, knew it. I knew it. Jew vans, just like I saw on YouTube. Thank you very much. Thanks for the confirmation. And I don't know when it happens, but it is multiple times a year where these vans full of Jews will drive around New York and then they'll park and the Jews will get out and they'll scatter. And they'll approach everyone that they think is Jewish and they'll ask, are you Jewish? And my dad is Jewish, and I have a little bit of that look. So they'll come up to me and they'll say, are you Jewish? And I'm always like, I don't know what you're doing. And that seems to be a deterrent. That's all I have.
I will just throw out a separate thought that I had of this, if it works for you. They ask literally everybody because there is no real defining characteristic necessarily that says that you're Jewish or not, right? But I've had several Jewish friends of mine who have been like, these people asked me if I was Jewish. How did they know? And it's like the funniest confirmation bias I've ever heard. I'm like, stop it. They're asking everybody. You happen to be Jewish. They ask me too, and I'm not. And it always makes
really
me laugh
funny.
because it usually happens during Hanukkah. That, oh, you Jewish? And they give you something. But I always say, no, I've been asked dozens of times that a couple of my Jewish friends, they really think that like, I mean, what gave it away? I'm like, nothing gave it away. They ask everyone.
They ask you about it. Yeah.
If I may, Rob, I'd like
Yes.
to use that because then I can say
Please.
something like, it's like my friend who's an environmentalist. It's just like someone just walked up to me on the street with a clipboard asking if I cared about the environment, and I was like, I do care about the environment.
What? Was it my nose?
Ow!
How did they know?
Was it my nose? Was it my dark hair? How did you figure that out? Sorry,
Somebody from Planned Parenthood is asking for money, and you're like, how did they know?
I just knocked up a girl yesterday.
They just asked Spider-Man if he was Jewish. Okay? They're asking everybody.
Sorry, so that's my experience with this, and I totally get it, and I love that. So yes, please make it yours, make it funny.
It'd be super weird if you were like, no, that's mine.
But back to your original like actual wording and stuff. The fan thing I think is very funny. I love you confirming the
Jew van. I knew it. Yeah, that's my
the Jew
favorite.
van. Yeah, I knew it. Jew
Is a
van. Yep.
weather van, is that a thing?
Weather?
A weather van?
Yeah, like yes, that
like
is a
storm
thing.
chasers? Is that
Yeah. So anyways, Jews control the weather, something there.
Oh man, that's funny.
How can you recreate that specific moment though? Like you don't know. Oh, it's one of those. Anyway.
Yeah, well, it's a person. He's doing an impression of a person in the audience, being like, "I knew it," and they're kind of. So you can do that impression. You can be like,
Yeah.
"I know one of you is like, something. There's a weather van's a thing. Jews control the weather. I knew it."
Eyewitness Jews.
Yeah, but I feel like that's. I think we're all in a. That's such a. I like that part of the joke a lot, but I guess the thing that is still lacking is like the end, where, like maybe it will be enough where I just go like I don't know what you're doing, and that seems to be a deterrent, or something.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, maybe I'm not so clear on your reaction and how that affects things.
Well, I guess because I mean the premise that I'm starting with, and obviously like that can stop, is like, and that can be changed is what I meant, is that I find Jewish culture confusing. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a part of that culture. I never practiced. I never learned. All of that stuff is in the soup for how I get to talking about these Jew vans.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot there if you went into that more.
Okay.
Just not connecting to it, maybe tell us how that happened, why.
Or maybe like I've never said yes to them, and I don't know what would happen, but here's what I think would happen. Maybe there's like a funny thing I could do there.
I love kind of zeroing in a little bit on exactly what you mean by, that you weren't raised Jewish. I like that idea, the idea of not being a practicing Jew, but for your entire life. Because are you just as flummoxed by other Jewish traditions as Christians are? Were you also thinking a Hanukkah bush was a thing or whatever it is? I'm curious as to what a Jew knows and doesn't know when they're not really raised practicing Jewish. I don't really have anything for you, but I'm just that definitely intrigues me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a funny thing. What does that mean? You're like Passover? I don't know what that is. What's a Seder?
Yeah, I can flush that out definitely.
Yeah, so
I don't know.
Right now, you're saying, "What are you doing?" Is the
I say I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know what you're doing. Yeah, I guess I would want you to, if you are going to start with the premise of confusion, to come back to that confusion in a little bit more full frontal force, to say, can you maybe you ask them a question about the van, is this what a Jew van is, or you say what is this, or what is being Jewish, or something like that.
Well, it's funny if you consider it to be an accusation. You haven't been a practicing Jew your whole life, and they're like, "Are you Jewish?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, man. I mean, it's my parents. They raised me this way."
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're on to me.
Or why aren't you in the van with us?
Yeah, they're gonna kidnap you and make you more Jewish than you've ever been.
Is this another holiday that I'm unaware of? I know it's September. There's a lot going on.
It's like a Jewish version of missionaries. They scoop you up and put you in the van, and then they teach you about the Old Testament, the Torah.
Do missionaries do that?
No, but they
That's terrifying.
infiltrate. They infiltrate, and then they pass out. They go to places. They're like, "Hey, we'll give you food. Just read this Bible."
Yeah.
Okay.
When do I say Mazel Tov?
Okay. Anything else for this one?
I love the idea of drive-by Jewing. To me, that seems really
Drive-by Jewing is very
Oh, that
fun.
is such a good phrase.
Stealing the thing that Rob just said.
No, this is the whole.
I know.
What's he gonna do with it?
Hopefully nothing.
Okay. All right. Moving on. I suffer from depression. My girlfriend has anxiety. We're sort of a mental health power couple. And I feel like I have to be the strong one during coronavirus because this whole thing is really feeding into her anxiety because anxiety is all about freaking out about things that are out of your control. So a global pandemic, violent protests in the street, that's like a 10-course anxiety buffet. But this disaster was basically made for people with depression because the CDC was like, don't meet up with large groups of people, stay home as much as possible. And I was like, oh, I'll just go off my meds. That'll keep me home. That's perfect. I won't leave the house. I won't even be able to leave my bed. That's how safe I'm going to be. Okay. Just based on your guys' laughter, I'm thinking I just have to cut down the beginning a little bit. What were you going to say, Brett?
I would like to hear what the perfect crisis would be to feed into Kirsten's anxiety.
That would make her the strong
where
one?
she would be like, okay, great. You know?
Yeah, that's true. I like that.
What? Disaster.
What was the power couple line? I feel like there could be something else there.
I suffer from depression. My girlfriend has anxiety. We're sort of a mental health power couple.
I kind of want it to be like it's the opposite. Like we have
Mental
no power
issues?
couple or something like that.
A mental health power couple or a lack of power couple.
We feel powerless couple.
Yeah, something. I want it to be more something like that, but I don't have it quite figured out. But something like that. Just a play on a power couple.
Yeah. Okay. Lack of what did you say, Rob? What was yours?
A feeling powerless couple.
Feeling powerless couple.
What did you just say? I've obviously heard people kind of refer to the pandemic in this way before, but all I have to do is go off my meds is a nice wording that I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
That point.
Because I have also heard similar premises, but I haven't heard it. I haven't heard
Yeah,
the
all I have to do
meds
is go off
thing.
my meds. that's a nice.
Yeah, I'll stay in bed. That's how safe. Yeah, like that's all good.
You were this close to being a hack, Jarret. This close.
Oh man, I was ready to slam my laptop down. I'm also thinking of the old joke. I just really love the idea of some Jews grabbing you in a bed, and then when you get pushed out, you have like peyotes coming.
Oh yeah.
You're like, oh man, they got me.
It's like a prank van almost. Like
Yeah, like or what's that cab? Cash cab?
cash cab.
Cash cab.
It's like,
Yeah, take me to 23rd and 6th. What's going on? You're in the Jew van. What?
That's really funny. When you get out, you have a yarmulke. Okay, do I have time for one more?
Of course. Well, actually, I didn't.
How am I doing on time?
Just sit without looking.
Yeah, man, whatever. We're all chilling. 14 minutes. Yeah, you're good.
All right. 14 minutes. Let's keep this, find a short one here. Some comics are clean. They don't curse. I don't really care about cursing, though. Even when I was growing up, I never understood the big deal. I remember when I was a kid and someone said shit on network TV for the first time, and it was like the only thing that everybody could talk about for months.
When somebody said shit on TV, I'd like to hear like what would have to be done now on TV for that reaction to be. Somebody to actually have to take a shit on TV.
Yeah.
You would think somebody took a shit on TV. That was what people's reaction was.
I kind of like the idea of like, yeah, the first this time it happened on TV, and it was like the first time they ever said shit on TV. I remember I was in my blah, 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 blah. And now it's like, oh man, I remember the first nut slip that ever happened on TV. Yeah, it was a Law and Order episode, and there was a just clear nut slip. You know, it just happened. The whole scene.
I remember because the guy went shit.
or
All
if
right.
you were doing now somebody would have to take a shit on TV, you could also say now something, it would have to be like the president would have to give a shit on TV.
Oh, that's cool too. A nice little
That's
reversal
funny.
of what that means.
Topical. Applause
Right.
break.
All right.
Jarret, try to do an applause break on that. That's my note.
Can you
Brett
start it with
always-
give it up for the troops?
Give it up for the poop.
Lunch. All right. That's all I got. Thanks so much, guys.
All right.
All right.
All right, Rob's next.
Let's go back to the Jarbinator. Who's next on your list?
Beep, boop, boop, beep, 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 boop.
Next is Rob.
Next is Rob. Okay, we will get fired up right away. There's a hodgepodge of different ideas here. Okay, I have, first of all, if South America had a longer lasting dynasty, all of our maps would be upside down. That is a that's it. That's the whole thought.
Wait, I'm not sure I get it.
If the Aztecs or whatever, if they held power longer, then when all the world maps were made, they would probably take a more prominent position, meaning they'd be on the top half, and all our maps would be upside down. That was the whole concept.
Two ideas for that. Do you know about the Decatur projection, Rob?
A Decatur projection specifically, no, but tell me, maybe it'll jog my
It's.
memory.
I think I'm remembering the name correctly. The Decatur projection is.
is it the actual landmass size
Yeah.
of the?
Yeah, because
okay,
the map that we all know is wildly inaccurate. Based
Oh,
on,
like not to scale.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
so-
the Decatur is based on actual landmass taken
Yes.
up by the Earth. Yes.
I thought the Decatur projection was they're like big bugs and then they leave a shell.
that is.
That could be. That could also
Maybe
be the
that's
Decatur
it.
projection.
I think we're- I
I thought
think
Decatur
you're
projection was that prank show on FX. The Decatur projection. The other thought that I had was because you're saying it would be flipped, so that it would be on the north. It would be like where Russia is basically, right, or where America is right now.
Yeah.
But I think what's funny right now about the map is that in the middle is like the Atlantic Ocean, which is like they won the war, I guess. Like is that the most
Atlantis?
powerful nation in the world? Is the bottom of the Marianas Trench or something? You know, I don't know, something like that.
That is funny.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to go with that, then your premise should be that you have to start off with the reason the map is the way that it is.
Right.
Where this nation is on top is because.
But it
That makes
is
a lot of
also
sense.
just on top. It's not. They didn't put it on top.
What I'm
Everything
saying
is in the
So
everything on the
Brett's
map
mind.
it's in the right places.
Yes, but there's
yeah.
no reason. There's no reason for the North Pole to be the north or the top. That's a. The astronomy knows no.
Yeah, it's pretty arbitrary.
It's arbitrary.
Yeah,
that the north
there's a
or the top.
reason because it is.
Have you
It
seen a
is on
map?
the top.
Do you want me to put a map on my green screen so you can see it?
I think if I thought of a new name for our group, guys, the Geography Boys.
I thought it was going to be more like white privilege or ethnocentrism. What do you mean? It's we're on top because we are.
We're number one.
I thought the map was in the list of technological achievements. So, you start off with America because we did the most. Right?
Whenever I fill out credit card information, United States is always at the top. So
Yeah.
I don't understand.
You know what is funny though when United States isn't the first option and you're like, what the fuck is this shit?
I'm not from Algeria.
Azerbaijan.
I have to go all the way down to you. You know why? Because the A Empire won all those wars back then. They beat out the B's and the C's. Otherwise, we'd have a completely different alphabet.
There's something there. There's something there. Like there was a war years ago for who got to name their countries the beginning of the alphabet versus the end of the alphabet. I don't know. Maybe
Oh,
there's
that's
something
true. And then America's like, we don't care. We're the United States, but put us under A. United
Yeah,
States
and then-
of, in parentheses, America, just for map purposes.
What a lot of people don't know is the lost city of Atlantis used to be called 001 Atlantis.
All right, so that's that idea. Thanks for stretching so much mileage out of that. That was just a silly like warm up thing I was thinking of doing. Okay. Here's an. If there's one thing I learned about couples, it's that if you have plans with both of them and one of them doesn't show because they were sick, they are lying. No one person ever gets sick in a couple, and the other person just shows up to the party anyway. They got into a blowout fight. That person hates you, or they are secretly an alcoholic. These are the real reasons that one person of a couple doesn't show up to a party. Oh yeah. Oh, you know what, Maureen? She's sick. She's sick. Yeah. She didn't want to come, but I figured I would come. Well, imagine a scenario where like your girlfriend or your wife is sick. You're not going to that party. You're gonna stay home and you're gonna whatever. But if you got into some disgusting fight, then you're like, I'm still going. I'm going to the fucking party. All right. You just fucking sit here and stay here. Well, I don't like your friends anyway. Ah, fine. Then you show up. You're like, she's really not. She's got a little tummy thing. I don't know. what
Tired
it is.
from work.
Yeah. Whew. I mean, I wish she would be here. It'd be great. I love her so much.
She's sick of you.
She's sick of not being a bitch.
Is that all you got, Rob, for that one?
That's all I really got.
That's
I
great.
actually thought about this when I was a kid because my mom was drunk all the time. And we would show up to these family parties often. I'd be like, yeah, Linda's not feeling good. And even as like a 10-year-old, I was like, there's no way they're buying this again. Right? It was like the third Christmas in a row.
If there's room, because I think the bit is really solid as it is. If there's room, I think I would like to hear you after you do the first act out of, yeah, she's not feeling great, using the same tone to say what really happened.
Okay.
Like, yeah, she's sorry she can't be here, but she asked me how she looked when she was getting ready, and I said that dress was kind of bursting at the seams because she put on a bunch of weight since Thanksgiving, and then she called my mom a bitch, and then we decided that she's just not here. Something like that. I don't know.
I like
Or
that.
what if you end all that with like, so she has a cold.
So she has a cold.
She has a bug.
That's funny. That's good. Yeah, if you could think of anything else now or later, that's cool. But
And I think Rob, you used the true.
as I was saying it, I was like, "This sounds
yeah.
great. I should say this too."
One of the great things about this, sometimes you're just trying to explain the joke, and you're like, "Oh, that's how I should say it."
Right.
It's also funny though because like if they are lying, they don't really have to because the other person's not there. So they could totally just
Yeah, they could
just
say whatever.
the truth and
Yeah, she was. My husband was being an asshole. He was being an asshole. No one's here to say otherwise. Let's ask my husband. Oh, he says he's being an asshole too.
I totally agree with your point, Brett, that especially for newer comics, I noticed that when they pitch me a joke, I'm always curious. I'm like, where'd that come from? And then the story is just infinitely more fascinating than whatever
Right.
stupid joke they came up with. I was like, excuse me? That's great. I mean, just
Well, when I was wrestling the aircraft from the terrorist hands, I noticed something about his sideburns were kind of funny.
so that's why men are different than women. You know?
Rob, do you think that would fit into the other material that you have about your mom?
Yeah, totally. As a matter of fact, the more I think about it, it could certainly work like that because instead of using that as an example or even an explanation for the joke, I could reverse engineer it and say exactly what I said. I realized from an early age that this is the case, and it just became more and more true. And I can generalize it. Everybody does that. You know, if your significant other can't be there, then blah blah blah. And I also kind of like adding in the fact that if your partner really was truly sick, can't leave the house, I think the odds that you just wouldn't go to the party are really high. They're just that much more higher.
because then
So
people
I
are
like-
like, well, how is she? Like, oh, I don't know. I'm here.
I left a can of soup open on the counter, so she should be all right.
What if you said? You should have a Dwayne Reed bag with like NyQuil in it, and then you bring that to the party. You say, "I just went out to get this, but I thought I'd swing by the party anyways." You know, something like that. Something to really hammer. Something really to sell the lie. And you say like, "I bring this to every party so that nobody thinks I'm lying about it," or something.
Oh yeah, like the receipt's in there, but it's from 3 years ago or something.
You keep it in your trunk. It's just a little girlfriend fight party package that you bring along with you. That's funny. All right. More legs. Great, guys. This is good. We won't get too much more, so I probably should just do one more bit. Okay, so this was a bit of a looser idea, and I came up with more recently, so we'll throw it out there. I loved the concept of staying up all night when I was a kid, and I remember like that feeling of deciding for the first time as a child that you were going to pull an all-nighter was just such a wacky, wild, novel idea. And I remember I don't remember the exact time, but I remember that feeling of being like pretty much like a young tween or like a teenager and having that moment with our friends when I was like, let's stay up all night. Like, let's do it, you know? And it was just this really exciting adventure of can we stay up until the sun comes up? And I wanted to explore that idea a lot more. One angle that I wanted to take on it was that to me, staying up all night is almost like it's like living an entire life, because you know you wake up the first day, and you're just a baby. You know you've experienced this day, and you're a child, and then once you decide that you're going to stay up all night, that is you basically like asserting yourself as a young teen, and you're like, I'm going to take control of my life. Because the first day is the first day. But the second day is like, I make my own decisions. And it's really exciting. So when it's like 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., those are like your 20s, because you're grabbing life by the balls, you're having a blast, you're partying with your friends. And then once it hits like 3 a.m., 4 a.m., now you're kind of hitting your 30s. And you're just like, yeah, I mean, you still got a little juice left in you, but you're starting to slow up. It's not as fun as it once was. You're like, this is all right, but we're still doing this. We're in this, And then something miraculous happens once it's like 6:30 in the morning. The sun comes up. And to me, that's like when you have your first child. Because it's like, oh my God, it's like a new day. You get this new breath of like, we did it. We stayed up all night. This is crazy. Wow, the sun's coming up. Maybe you go watch the sunrise. And then something really weird happens at like 9 a.m. And at 9 a.m., you're just like, oh, I just stayed up all night. My body is wrecked. I'm exhausted. And now I have an entire another day I have to live. And nobody cares that I just spent the whole night up. And now I have to do the whole thing again, but now I'm miserable and exhausted. And that's when you're like 42. That's when you're just like, oh, I got to do everything I just did, but again and worse. And and I'm underslept, and that's it. Anyway, that's it.
I think that's a great poem, Rob.
So that's my poem. That's my Odyssey.
I think it's a beautiful analogy.
Yeah, but it ends there for right now. I understand that the analogy is really all I've got. But do you think it's worthwhile to?
To me, right now, it feels like a stretch. It feels like shoving one thing onto another. For other analogies, I feel like there's a moment where the audience goes like, yes,
Yeah, I see that.
The reason why I made that joke about this being a poem was it really felt like this kind of, I don't know, it really felt more avant-garde, the way that you were sort of like fitting those two things together. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure what the solve is. Sorry, what were you saying?
Which, by the way, does not deter me in the slightest.
I think that you just.
I love
it's,
that.
It's the same analogy over and over again without anything new. Really, you're not wowing us with the analogy. We already know the analogy. Now it's just different examples of the analogy.
Yeah.
So I would like for you to just give me the analogy. Tell me what it's like in the beginning, what it's like being a child, and then tell me what it's like by 7 a.m. when you're an old person.
Right, I agree with you on that.
And then cut out everything in between.
And I actually think that it's way more interesting to think about the activities of what a kid who stays up all night with his friends does than the analogy. I think
I agree with you.
That,
and the other things about, so I said that this is just one aspect of it that I thought about. But the other things about it was like, is what you decide to do with it and how sleepovers are different. Like I remember when I was sleepovers when I was a kid, it was almost like this weird feral, it was a scary event. Like, cause if you fell asleep first, they'd fuck with you, they'd drop penises on you and all this stuff. Yes. You're just like, this isn't fun. This is terrifying. You're just like sitting in the corner, like with a sharpened stick, just making sure that nobody tries to fuck with you.
Yeah.
So there's that kind of element. Yeah.
I remember you ran this idea by me. We were texting about it, and I don't remember what we riffed on, but now I remember that part was just now that part was missing about staying up and being afraid to fall asleep first or whatever, and I like that. I don't know why that wasn't in there just now, because I like that part.
I also had this other concept of like there's a lot of solidarity when the thing first starts, and you're like, oh man, like we're going to stay up all night. Like, yeah, if I start to fall asleep, like you'll wake me up, and I'll wake you up. And then there's the point where you're like, if you keep me from sleeping, I will cut your throat. I will murder you. Like I'm done. I am over. I'm going to bed now. There's a lot of weird mixed emotions that I've had about this very concept of like staying up all night and that really weird range of emotions that you go through. So I'm just fascinated with that currently. there's no joke yet, but I'm fascinated with just that really like high and low that you feel, that you put your mind through in one day, in one time period, that it just, I don't know. Like I said, that just tickles me or fascinates me.
I got a very unrefined idea for you, just to throw some more info in the slop. So,
Cats.
when you plastic, right? So the way that you describe the sleepover, when things start to break down and the kids are like, fending off pranks with a sharpened stick, it reminded me of the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
And then I thought that there was an article that went around the internet recently about the real Lord of the Flies, where that actually did happen to a bunch of kids, but instead of descending into madness, they basically formed like a little democracy, and it ended up being really civil and amazing. And they like found, when they were eventually discovered, like they were all really well fed, and like one of the kids had broken their leg, and they had mended it, and they were making sure that he got his rations and stuff like that. And so then
that's how they formed Sweden.
and that became Sweden. And so the idea that I then had was, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's a way to fit that into this bit where, if kids just stay up long enough, they'll form a representative democracy or something. I know that that's such a long walk, and you have to go through the article, and you have to go through Lord of the Flies, but maybe there's something that could be mined out of that.
All right.
So you're saying make it longer. That's what I was
Make it super long. Make it really long. And
Boring people, Rob.
don't forget to cite your sources.
Can you have a little break from the poem for a short story?
Of course.
Okay, cool, great.
I think it could be a novel, really.
Yeah, maybe some interpretive dance in the middle. I think it would really
I'm
flesh
thinking
out.
of including hyperlinks so that if anybody wants more information on any particular
Hand out
topic
cards
I
to the
mentioned.
audience.
You can just click on that link if you're curious. Anyways,
Cool, man. Thank you guys so much for your help. I appreciate it. Jarret, let me know who's next on
who's next in the jar machine?
Yeah.
First of all, has anybody before I turn on the jar machine, has anybody done a thing where they're talking about something on stage, and the joke is that they say to the audience, like, if any of you guys are curious about that topic, you should go to the website, and then they name the very specific link with like this backslash underscore at symbol,
That's very funny.
and
That is very funny.
obscenely long web link, or something like that.
That's awesome. No,
I might use that. Expect that next week, guys. All right. Turning on the jar machine. Beep, boop, boop, beep, beep, boop, boop. Next is Anthony.
All right. So I have this idea. Magicians are failed serial killers, and that's why they're always trying to cut women in half.
It's like, I always get it wrong. Maybe I could make some money off of this.
I always want to put it back together again somehow.
I can get them to volunteer.
Completely unscathed.
That's how bad of a serial killer you are, that women volunteer. You have a woman that you travel with who lets you try over and over again, night after night. Des Moines, St. Louis, Orange County. She's mocking you.
It's like when people try to reframe things, like, this didn't go my way, but let me look at it this way. And then it's the serial killer is like, well, we might as well go on tour. I'll put amazing in front of my name, and then people will think I'm really good at this.
The first time he does it, he like saws through the woman, and then he's like, ta-da!
Similar thought. The very first magician was a failed serial killer. He tried to kill a woman by sawing her in half, and when she noticed that she was still alive, she suggested the partnership, something like that. She's like, this just gave me $1 million idea, something like that.
Rob, you're about to do a bit, or?
Yeah, I'm about to do a bit.
Okay.
He disappeared. I made him disappear. I'm the amazing Anthony. I made him reappear. So you're welcome. Let's take it on the road, Rob.
I like the idea of you incorporating all the other things that magicians do and making them linked to serial killers. I mean, like, like why else? I mean, they're traveling around with swords all the time. They have all these all these little instruments of death, effectively, that they travel around with. And I think that's also where the magicians get their stage flair from. It's from like, sneaking and lurking around houses all the time. That's why they enter the stage like this. They always have. They're just. I mean. It's from all their sneaking around, right?
It almost worked because the serial killers, they say that one of the signs is animal mutilation, and so maybe something could be done with like a pigeon flying out of your hat or a rabbit or something. It's just like more things that he couldn't kill.
That's great.
Just what do you call it? Disappeared.
Yeah, he started out with not being able to kill rabbits, and then he worked his way up to not being able to kill people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or what if he was killing animals and somebody was like, "Hey, were you the one who killed all those pigeons?" And he's like, "No," and then a pigeon flies out of his sleeve and he's like, "Ta-da!" Also, I like the idea of just every magic trick is like some kind of failed serial killer thing. Like he has 2 cups and he's like, the cup that you had GHB in it. And then she's like, well, I feel awake. And he's like, they're just 1 cup.
Or he mixed up the cups.
Yeah. What else? There's rings, card tricks.
This is a real stretch. What if he wrote on a card, "I'm going to kill you"? And he thought he was showing her that card, but instead it's the card that she picked. And he's like, "Is this your card?" And she's like, "It is." And he's like,
"Oh, this isn't supposed to be Ace of Spades. It's supposed to be a card that says, I'm going to kill you."
"It's supposed to be a picture of you while you're asleep."
Let's see what else. But yeah, I like the idea that exploring more tricks and seeing how I can relate that to death. Okay, let's see. What do I have? I'm starting to forget which ideas I've run by you guys, so just tell me if I did. But this is one that I have. I don't understand.
You just said the exact same idea you just said.
I got this thing about magicians. Failed.
And then you're blown away by how good our riffs are.
Oh my God, these are gold.
These ideas. Oh my God.
Like you're reading my mind. I don't understand sarcasm, which is just great. That's all I have.
What am I supposed to say to that? It's perfect.
Would it be funny if you said it, which is just great, but you actually say it like it is great? Like,
I don't understand sarcasm, which is great.
Yeah, because we all know which is great to be a generally sarcastic sounding thing anyways, just to the sentence. People don't really say which is great.
Yeah.
So if you say it with that tone, it might be enough to juxtapose with.
Especially if I start with like, I don't understand sarcasm, which is just great.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't know that that's my personality to be so positive, but maybe that would make it fun.
I mean, it worked fine the way that you had it. So
part of what makes me laugh about it is the flatness of it, because I have no idea where you're going with it. I have no idea what you want me to think about it. I'm just laughing. I'm like, God damn it. Is he happy? Is he not happy? Is he sarcastic? Is he not? I love that.
Okay, let's see. I've been having a lot of panic attacks lately.
Wait, sorry. I just have one extra tag. Like,
yes.
Oh, geez, would somebody explain it to me? Please.
I did.
How about you, Sarah? You look intelligent. Maybe you could explain it to me.
Oh, I do like that, like sarcastic crowd work.
Please, I need your knowledge. Thank you. That's funny.
I've been having a lot of panic attacks lately, and that worries me.
I feel like this still, in your fashion, there's something else that could twist it back again. This feels not. I feel hanging for some reason.
Yeah, it's like halfway there.
Panic attack. Which worries me. I hope I can just get it already, so I can stop worrying about it. Wait, you do have the panic attack yet?
I've been having a lot of panic attacks lately,
Oh.
and that worries me.
So I'm thinking if there's a panic attack that's about to come and you're worried about it, then you hope it would just come already so you could stop worrying.
I'm worried that I'm going to have a panic attack.
Yeah, I wish I would just have it already so I could stop worrying. Something along those lines. I don't know.
This is totally different direction with it, but
Something about cows.
Plastic.
so you got anything? Can you do anything with that? Panic attack. So I need to up my panic defense. But like I always go with the Dungeons and Dragon thing direction with my riffs. But
Okay.
yeah,
I
but
don't
like
know.
attack defense, I need better panic charisma.
I see. I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons.
Neither do I, which is weird that I keep going that direction.
You're so cool, Brett. I don't either.
I don't know what a dungeon master does 3 times a week.
Could you do and this is kind of like maybe you could just go down the list of what a panic attack is and say that that's what's happening when you're worrying about getting a panic attack. You could say something like, I'm really worried that I'm gonna get a panic attack, like really worried, like my heart is racing, my palms are sweating, I feel like I'm about to die. I'm scared of social interactions, stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So
Just
you're
go
worried
through the
about coming, but
DSM.
You're already having it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you know? I don't really have a joke, but if people put panic rooms in their house, it'd be cool if you installed panic rooms in all your rooms, or all my rooms are panic rooms, or so.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that. See.
I have a panic room, but I don't want to go in it. I don't have an attack.
I have a panic room, but it makes me really nervous.
That's very funny.
Okay. My pet peeve is when people tell me their pet peeves.
God, I'm so mad at myself right now.
I like that too. That's clever, and now I feel like an example might be good here.
Because I would be explaining it, which should make me furious.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know if that's the wrong direction to push that, but it makes me think that it would be good if you did have an example, like when somebody tells me that. I don't know. I don't know why that. I think
My
that's
pet
better.
peeve is people telling me their pet peeves and when they're hypocrites.
Oh, yeah. I do like that.
That's funny. Yeah. That reminds me of that sign. What was it? There's like a list of 3 things. I forget the head.
Anthony, what if you just said, it's sort of similar to your nostalgia joke. What if you just said the definition of a pet peeve instead of saying pet peeve? What if you were like, one of the things that I hate that people do is when they tell me their pet peeves.
Oh, I see.
Oh, okay. Yeah, make them get there.
But I would probably have to be more, one of the things that really,
Yeah.
really
Grinds my gears.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a different term, but yeah, something that really grinds my gears is when people tell me their pet peeves. Yeah, something like that could work. I think I would just have to make sure that everybody knows that what I'm doing is, what I'm describing as a pet peeve.
Mm-hmm. And you could even flip it. Maybe that'll work better. You say, one of my pet peeves is when people tell me things that other people do that really annoys them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I was thinking flip it as in, well, maybe you just explain it. Normally, you're like, a friend of mine always comes to me and tells me all of his pet peeves. That really pisses me off. And then the second part is
Just can't stand it. when people. Well, yeah.
Because I love the idea of you only saying pet peeves once, the way Jarret had suggested. But if you start with them coming to you with the pet peeve,
Yeah, I would
and then you
just
just ending,
say-
that really pisses me off.
I hate when people do that. Sounds more like a pet peeve than that pisses me off because it feels like a
I hate when people do that.
specific
I hate when
incident.
people do that. Yeah, that's
I
really,
really
funny.
hate. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate when people do that. Would be nice.
It really bothers me.
We're
when
figuring this
people-
out. This is the joke now, Anthony.
Yeah.
This is it. You have a friend come up to you and tell you all his pet peeves, and then you end with, "I hate when people do
What
that."
if your pet peeves are just in the top half of the hourglass?
But if my pet peeve was something about maps, they would be upside down. I don't know.
I think a 20
You guys know what my pet peeve
fell
is?
out of Brett's pocket.
Plastic.
I like that we're doing callbacks to things that I have to edit out. There is more to this joke than this, but I'll start with this first. Convertibles are cars without permanent tops, but somehow they're considered to be luxury vehicles. But that doesn't really happen with other stuff, like houses. Like you never hear somebody go, "Yeah, this place is real fancy. You see that roof? Yep, comes right off."
Because then all the people's houses in Oklahoma would be really fancy.
I mean, I guess you would have a skylight, but that's not quite the same. The
Yeah.
same thing as
Oklahoma would be a luxury neighborhood.
Yeah.
and then
Once a tornado comes through here,
Yeah.
roofs come right off.
property values going through the roof. That's why they say through the roof, because it gets blown off. And
Or like, what if anytime something falls off or breaks, you like use that as an excuse? Like, you're like a piece of your TV falls off. You're like, it's a convertible.
yeah, I forget. I don't have it written down right here. But so the other part of the joke was the next comparison I made was like after houses was pets. So then I had this thing about like you never see like a show dog without a head, and they're like, oh, this is a what did I call it? Ampudoodle. It's a cross between a poodle and an amputee. You might something like you might not have noticed it's missing a head. You can't tell because it has bangs. Something like that. That was sort of trailed off into some absurd thing like that.
This is just for my own head, maybe, I don't know. But the convertible is a weird name because the idea of converting something into something else makes sense. But a regular car exists, but there is nothing that exists that doesn't have a roof by itself. Like, there's only the convertible. It's like, oh, the roof comes off, and now it gets turned into, those cars that have no roofs. Those cars. It can go back and forth. It can be the car with a roof, or, those cars that would have no roofs that we always have. And you're like, no, that's not a thing. It's always opening and closing. I don't
It
know.
would be like if the Transformers turned from a robot to a robot with no legs.
Oh, but you're saying convertible is the wrong word because there's no car that doesn't have the ability to put the top up.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you put the top down and that's it. You're converting into. Yeah, that's interesting.
And as Jarret kind of pointed out, there is examples to be made of that where you're just like, no, you've turned it into something that isn't a thing or something like that, and you've called it a convertible.
It converts into something that would be useless or
Yeah,
much
or
less valuable.
Or at least, yes, exactly. Really hard to manage and deal with because you have a leather interior and it has no roof.
This car is worthless. It has no top. Wait a minute, it could, but it's made of like soft plastic.
Right.
And
Yeah, I
it costs extra.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to Jarrett's riff. Transformers, robots without limbs.
But wouldn't it be heads if I was going to compare? Because the way I introduce it is convertibles are cars that don't have permanent tops.
Right.
Yeah, you could do
I
heads.
assume that Jarret was just kind of putting it on its ear a little bit, and that if you are thinking head, then you could just get rid of an arm. Just be like, what? It's like that magic trick of like you kind of know where the comic's going, but he still somehow surprises you.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly different. That was my thought. Hopefully that was helpful to you, man. You're just about up in time, and thank you. That was really funny, Jarret.
Thanks.
Who's next in the Jarbonatrix?
Well, I'm not even going to turn on the machine because just by process of elimination, I know that it's Brett. So if I use the machine for that, it would be a giant waste of electricity.
Beep, beep.
Let's turn on the process of eliminator.
Is the same sound? Is that even different?
Process of eliminator uses 3 times as much electricity as the jar, the jar
It's a
machine.
highly inefficient machine.
It's extremely inefficient.
It's actually a huge level.
Black
Hold on,
smoke.
let me just go get to it. Shunk.
All right, the process of
Lights
eliminator
dim.
says that it's Rob's turn. What the fuck?
God damn it! It
doesn't even work.
Overheated again. Okay. I've been told to use my social media platform to speak out against social injustices, to just stick to comedy, that I should shut up and listen, that my silence is deafening, that I shouldn't make jokes that ignore current events, and that I shouldn't make jokes that reference current events. I have taken all of that advice and I formed Captain Planet.
I did read that earlier today, and I agree with you on the sentiment that there is just a wild amount of mixed messages being thrown out for how you are supposed to act or react as like an ally technically. And Captain Planet seems so silly that it's a
Ultron
nice,
could work in a similar way,
twist.
maybe.
Sure, yeah. I was actually thinking of that, but I was also thinking like Megazord, but I felt like Captain Planet had the most universal appeal.
And it's
Like
also
most
there's
people.
no negative connotation associated with Captain Planet at all. It's all a
Whereas
positive.
Voltron, real race heavy.
Do you think it might be, I mean, this might be a little too obvious, but do you think it might be good to, you end the list of things that you're supposed to be doing on social media with something innocuous like, okay, but I still don't know if there's any good brunch places in my neighborhood.
I like that.
Something like that.
So where do cat videos lie then?
Yeah.
Is that?
I think that I think the framing
ally?
could be really smart of like saying like it's so difficult to know what to do on social media, or I feel like every time I post something on social media I'm being pulled in so many different directions as to what I'm supposed to be doing. People love telling you what to do on social media, you know. Just putting one of those boxes around the bit.
Make it longer. Say the same stuff but more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great note.
That is
Jared.
always my advice. Do you ever think about
Okay.
including anything about the Prussian War of 1763 in the very beginning? I think it'll tie in nicely.
I think I was going to get the Decatur projection in there somehow.
Plastic.
I was thinking it was funny because Rob, last time you were talking about how we kind of realized, well, we don't have to come in with a fully formed idea. We can come up with a kind of a loose thing, and we're all funny enough, and we've been doing comedy for long enough that it's just a fun experience, you know. And I was thinking that we were going to get maybe lazier and lazier, and that it was going to turn into us just being like cows. You guys go.
Come on,
That's my joke now. You guys pull it into a full one-act play.
I do have a joke where it cows are the misdirection. So when you say that, it just reminds me of a joke I actually have.
Okay, so I feel like it is pretty unfair that you can tell somebody's age by looking at them, but you can't tell how dumb somebody is until you talk to them. Like, I don't really care. I wish that's something that I could see. I don't really care how old you are, but I do care about how dumb you are. I wish I could avoid talking to dumb people. I don't really care how many wrinkles you have on your face, but I do care about how many wrinkles you have on your brain.
Ooh, there you go.
Oh, wrinkles
Nice
on the
little
brain.
turn. Wrinkles on the brain. I think that a cheap shot, potentially cheap shot, depends on what example you use, could be, well, there are exceptions, and then you do list a couple of things that are little site giveaways, and you can sort of fill in the blanks based on your own experiences. I think some obvious ones that might be a little bit too well treaded would be like, if you're wearing an Ed Hardy t-shirt, or, if you have like a Confederate flag or something like
Socks
that.
with sandals.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Tattoo
still
with
think
your own name on it, or a tattoo of your own name.
a real note that I had was that you could enumerate that exact example. So like as you did that act out, that would still get the point across that I'm saying. Like, you've been fooled before. Like, I've definitely been tricked into thinking that I was going to have an intelligent conversation. It made sense. Everyone had, he had these sort of credentials. He looked to the part, and then all of a sudden, whatever came out. And you're usually good at coming up with weird non sequitur kind of statements that would make the audience laugh, to be like, what's something a dumb person might say who looked like they were going to have their shit together or something.
There could be maybe a way to tie in someone that you desperately want to talk to, even if you did have that power, like if it was a hot girl, but you could tell that they were dumb just by looking at them. Would that change whether or not you wanted to talk to them?
It's funny that you said it, because I think actually when I wrote this premise a while ago, but I think it was actually something of like, a lot of times I will be attracted to a woman, and then maybe on like Tinder or something like that, and like she only can become less attractive the more we talk.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, damn it, if all you had to do was just like, let me hold on to this image that you're an intelligent person, but your personality is ruining it.
Yeah.
But then what about the reverse? Do you ever think that they're thinking that of you?
No, he's great.
I was thinking more like,
Anthony,
no,
what
I'm
the
not hot.
That's our friend, man. Brett's our friend.
But I think that would be
I don't
funny.
like your attitude, Anthony.
Like when you finally talk to a woman that is this image you have, is she going to look at you the way you're looking at these dumb women?
Oh, sure. Yeah. That definitely happens.
Well, I was saying maybe that could be part of the joke.
Yeah. No, that's a great note. But I think I specifically wanted to keep it away from dating.
Okay, yeah.
Well, it wouldn't even have to be dating. It could be, you're at a party talking to a physicist, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're thinking about me the way I think about everyone else.
Oh, right. Yeah. I do sometimes have the experience of somebody will read my Instagram that I match with on Tinder, and then they will think, because a lot of my jokes are very clever, that I am very smart. And they are disappointed that I am not well read or educated. I mean, I'm fairly educated, but I'm an intelligent person, but I'm not a smart person.
I think
I like
there's
that.
a lot of meat on that bone. Like,
Yeah.
that's really funny, talking about the difference between being clever and being intelligent.
Oh, yeah. That's
The idea that people think that you're smarter than you are. I don't know. I think I like that a little more because it seems less mean.
That's
Feel like,
You're less of
people
a
read my
dick.
jokes, they just assume that I know all about the Chechenian separatists.
Are you Dennis Miller?
The Chechenian separatists. Babe.
yeah, that is a weird position that I occupy in general, is that I am bright but also dumb at the same time. Like, I have a weird kind of blue collar vibe, but also not at all.
That would be interesting to explore. Maybe part of it is too that you like because you said the material, like, sure, when I have, time to write, check with, edit a well-crafted post or joke, that's one thing. But live in conversation, like talking to you in real time, that's
Right.
that's an entirely different experience for me.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Good notes. I really try to avoid this. Well, this leads into it. I really try to avoid politics as much as I can. I avoid involving myself with it as much as I can. But it's impossible to avoid political messages now. They're like in everything. Like, I go to buy like a chair, and it's like, this chair stands with women and autism against circumcision. I'm like, I don't even know if I could sit in this. I feel like one of my friends is going to come over and be like, oh, nice chair, you liberal Nazi.
If you really stood for women, you wouldn't need a chair.
Yeah, I like the idea that
That's
the chair
it.
stands for something.
A way to be. Yeah, you finally buy the perfect chair that has all these things, and it's got the wood coming from the right place, and it's recycled, and then you should be standing.
It's a biodegradable chair.
Yeah, if you really stood.
Stand up for women by laying down.
Dude, that's really funny.
Is it clear, like, you get enough of the Gillette, toxic masculinity? Like, that's an inherent, like...
I didn't think of
Gillette.
it specifically, but I am familiar with the company's sort of like weaponizing
In these trying times.
white knighthood.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that's the better angle for it. So that way you are not taking the position of just like, I don't care and I don't want to care. You're being more on the attack of saying, like, you don't represent these ideals, but you're making me feel like you do, and then you're making me feel guilty for whatever product you make me purchase. Maybe that's just more of a delivery system, coloring of your joke. But the joke itself is valid. Cool. I like that.
I think that's accurate. But yeah, I want to stick to more of like, I just don't want to think about that when I'm buying a chair.
Right. Okay.
It feels like
Sorry,
this
go ahead,
could be. It feels like this could be connected to the other idea that you have about people telling you on social media, speak up but don't say anything and whatever, like stand for this, and it could sort of either come before or after as like a lead-in. I don't know which. It feels like maybe the chair is the lead-in to the other bit. I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful.
I think there's definitely a connection there for sure. Did you have something, Jarret?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know if this is a little well-trodden territory, but talking about the chair not having political beliefs because it's a chair, I don't know how that works out demographically, like how much chairs were voting for Trump in Michigan in 2016 or something like that. That might be too obvious or too easy, but...
I'm looking for a chair that stands for something.
Right. Yeah, it just seems so transparent that it's like, it's just a way to sell more chairs.
Yeah. But just to reiterate one more time, you're not saying that. None of that joke.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I was just agreeing with
Okay,
that,
cool.
that sentiment. But yeah, I like the absurdity of like, and I'm sure there is a way to more hammer home what Jarret's saying, which is like, it's a chair. It doesn't have a political opinion. It's a chair.
What about the electric chair?
Brett.
Weirdly, the electric chair is pro-life.
Oh, your chair is reclining? You should be leaning in, okay? Should be leaning forward.
Just made me think of a joke of like a social justice boxer, and he's like, "These gloves only punch up." Okay,
Southpaw.
I will.
The lefty.
How much? Where am I at time? Anybody?
You can do one more.
One more.
Joke for sure.
You want? Should I go with being Jewish or a one-liner?
One-liner.
One-liner. Okay.
How about being Jewish?
Jarret doesn't want me to tread on his territory. when somebody asks me what exit to get off on, I'm like, hopefully none, you pervert.
I like it. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I got no qualms with that joke.
All right, being Jewish.
I think it's great. I think it's great. I'm really curious to see if I always worry that some jokes are too fast
Sorry.
for the audience.
Yeah, I actually, that is my concern when I wrote that. I was like, I just don't think it would fly in the format of just telling it.
Yeah.
But your mic is super loud right now.
Oh, sorry about that.
Do you mind turning it down just a little bit?
Is that better? How's it?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
good?
that's good.
It was so loud, I didn't even hear what you said. Like it was so loud, I couldn't pay attention to it.
I just worry that it'll be too fast for the audience.
Too fast.
Oh, now I just didn't pay attention to it. Heard you loud and clear. Perfect diction. Great volume. Didn't care about the content.
So weird. My mic unplugged and then I replugged it back in, and I guess something happened where it just got like crazy loud. Some of the settings messed up or something.
Well, that's my time. So,
Okay.
No, wait. No, let me go over that last minute was just nonsense. I didn't get to do the actual bit.
No. We talked about my mic for a while.
Wait, so just say the
Thank you guys so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. We're here twice a week. We are the Riff Boys. Play us out, Jerry. Riff Boys. Riff Boys.
It's also the
riffing
Germinator.
along with the
Boys.
Riff Boys.
Riffing along. Riff. Okay, now you're really over your time.
So wait, but what was the? Say the line one more
yeah,
time.
I want to hear the Jewish joke. That's what I want to hear.
Oh, you wanted to move on. I thought you wanted to.
Oh, yeah, I
get
wanted to
better
actually do
feedback
it.
because we didn't give you anything on that. Okay.
There was thumbs up, and then. Being when people find out that I'm Jewish, sometimes they'll make this sound. They'll go "ooh," which I'm like, I've never understood what that meant. And a friend of mine, I asked her, I was like, why did you make that sound? Like I'm not a dessert. And she was like, oh, being Jewish is exotic. And I was like, what? Being Jewish is not exotic. Okay, like when I think of being Jewish, I think of my aunt like spitting on a napkin and being like, you got schmutz on your face, and then rubbing my face with a napkin. Like nobody has ever calls in like, oh, let's see the exotic dancers, and then a bunch of strippers come out like Hava Nagila Hava. It's not like an exotic thing. That's what I have on it.
I really like the strippers thing. I want to think about like more things that you could just like look at a Jew, what they're doing, and being like, woo. You know.
Right. Yeah, he's managing his money well. Exotic. Ooh, his allergies are acting up because he had dairy. Ooh.
Where is he from?
I like the.
Am I in a Bond movie?
What was the it was your aunt who described it as being exotic? What was the exact setup?
My
I'm sorry.
friend, people find out I'm Jewish, they go and they have this reaction. So I asked my friend who reacted that way. I said, "What was that reaction?" She was like, "Oh, I think being Jewish is exotic."
Right. Okay. That's so weird. I like that. Exotic. International man of mystery.
I do like the idea of you complaining about that, though, as a Jewish person.
Oh yeah, I whine about me not being exotic.
I am so tired of people fetishizing Jews. We're just the same as everybody else, okay?
Yeah, I could even end the whole rant of like even everything I just said. Did it sound exotic to you in my nasally voice? Was that exotic?
I always feel it might be a harder sell just because it's this one person who said this thing, or it's the one person who elaborated on it. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't matter. I guess depends on your personal preference as a comic or what the audience is cool with. But when it's just one person who made this like thing that you're like, oh, this person's just wrong, right? Or do you think that that's something that people have
think that is
generally.
Some people do feel about, and Jarret, maybe you'll have experienced this too. Is they do kind of feel like it's like we're like Jedis or something like that. Like it's this old religion. It's like it's the holiest land is Israel and like in Jerusalem. And so I think there is some kind of mystique about it to some people. Whereas to me, growing up with it, I just think it's like it's Jews, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's Jews.
Jews, man.
They're in their little vans running around.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that van idea. That's funny. Put that in there.
Yeah, I've never had that. I mean, Kirsten told me that I was the first Jew she'd ever met, I think. You know, and so like I remember, like I always think that that's so weird when somebody hasn't had any exposure to Jews before. The other thing that I was thinking, and this is like, I don't know if you can incorporate this because I have this in my slush pile as like maybe a joke, is like, I heard somebody say the other day that Jews weren't white people, that if you're Jewish, you don't count as being white. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me because Jews are the whitest people, you know, with our allergies and our complaining and stuff like that.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't know.
My thought was similar because the word exotic is used by white people to describe anything that's not white.
Ooh, that's a great observation.
So what they're telling you is, oh, I thought you were white. Turns out you're not like me. How exotic. So that was what it made me think of.
I
Does
like
anything
getting.
help?
I like.
Because it's anything. Oh, Spanish?
Everybody, I have a black friend.
Yeah. Oh, Asian? How exotic. Spanish? How exotic. Everything is.
I like the
Everything is
idea of you getting into the voice of the girl more, of where she is so turned on and impressed and intrigued by your culture and by these things, and with the exotic thing. So, you know, if you're with her and she's like, oh my God, like a real Jewish person, it's so exotic. Like, what do you call this cuisine that you're eating? You're like, that's allergy medication. Oh, okay. I hear you.
Like, is this
I noticed-
pasta? I'm like, it's gluten-free bread. My stomach gets upset.
It's like, what is this that you're eating before every slice of pizza? Is this some sort of ritual? It's like, it's Lactaid.
I have a box of lactate milk. She's like, ooh, did a rabbi say a prayer over that?
so exotic.
Yeah, the more things she could get wrong would be interesting.
I mean, I think this is a really funny idea for her being like, ooh, what is this? And you being like, this is the regular thing. But I think it could also be like there's so many different ways to play this where you say like, you know, I got to get my allergy medication. And she's like, oh my, like she's turned on by that. Similarly, you could just say your regular things like they're sexy, you know, like I can't eat dairy because it makes me fart. And she's like, ooh, how exotic, something like that.
My mom calls me 3 times a day.
We have a complicated relationship.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
All right, good jarbing, guys.
Good
Nice
job
jarb.
indeed.
We
Nice
did
job. I'm happy with that. I'm glad that I was able to get and I mean this, 2 of those ideas were pretty old and one of them wasn't even thought out at all, but it's still fun to be able to talk about these things for 4 or 5 minutes because it at the very least gets me excited about an old idea again, right? It's sort of fun.
There's part of me that's like, I want to do bits that I haven't fleshed out at all because I'm like, I just want good. This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's more fun with an idea that isn't fleshed out. For me, anyway, it's like I'm willing to take it anywhere, but with some ideas that I've sort of thought through, I want it to go to a specific place.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's hard to not fight the notes because it just makes me think. I have to try harder to get it to where I was trying to go. But with this, it's so open.
Yeah, I agree with you. Where the joke that's more sort of fully formed, you hear a note, and there's so many like, yeah, I thought of that, and yeah, I didn't want, I tried that before, and I don't really want to go that direction or whatever. But if something's brand new, you're like, sure, whatever the fuck, who cares?
Yeah, and then I'm also like, if it's a clip, great.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other thing too. It's like maybe it just lives in this world, and that's where it's going to be the funniest.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell comics that too as advice. I'll be like, you want to record the shows in part because if you're trying out a new bit, sometimes there's like new bit magic, and it just works because the audience just like appreciates whatever the fuck you did, and then you never get it to work again. It's just like so funny because you don't keep it in your act. You literally like, I'm not telling that joke. I've never fucking figured it out, but it was magical one night, and then you got a tape of it, and then you just put it online, and you're like, great, that joke is funny that one night, and it never got that funny again. But now I have a tape of it, so. Perhaps similarly here, there might be some bits I'm like, I'm never gonna do this. There's nothing to do with it. But the fact that we all made jokes about it and laughed for 4 minutes straight, like, great. So
Yeah,
totally with that.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Is This Anything? I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure to subscribe and tweet and do all that fun stuff that makes our engagement look good. If you want to watch episodes before they are released on YouTube, you can go to patreon.com/ITApod, and we will see you in the comments.
Sound off.
Is this anything?